pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Yep. Roll call.
Smith. Weiss.
Here.
Addy.
Here.
Elder.
Here.
Leibold. Reese.
Here.
Sleek.
Here.
Okay, welcome everybody. It's exciting to have a full crowd in the audience. Tonight, very first thing we're doing is turning the floor over to Chief Wensinger so he can do his presentation.
Thank you, Madam President. Just very quickly here, I'll have Officers Ashley O'Connor and Olivia McGowan come forward to officially reintroduce these two officers as non-probationary employees. They've made their 1 year probation and maybe a couple of months now since we've had a little bit of delay of getting them in front of council. Ashley O'Connor came to us from the Ohio State Highway Patrol. She was a 5-year veteran there, BGSU University and OSP Training Academy. Olivia McGowan came from also Bowling Green State University and graduated Police Academy from EHOVI. So with that, short round of applause. I have the shift crew come up behind us, and I have some special guests to present them their permanent badges today. So if those guests come up. And have at it, gentlemen. All right, thank you. So now would be a great time to go get some pictures for us right outside. Thank you. All right,
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Along with that, there's a few changes. Switch glasses. That's crazy. Are you making fun of me? There's a change to our guest speakers tonight. Chief Paul Bison isn't going to be here tonight. He's coming to the next one, October the 5th. But we do have Chris Jordan here. He's the clinical director of Great Lakes Recovery Center and Surest Path. He's come to tell us a little bit about that program.
Madam President, members of the council, thank you guys so much for inviting us. I apologize. Dr. Guardiola was supposed to be here to speak, however, that's hospital things. So I thank you for allowing me to speak in this stead. I'm the clinical director of Surest Path Recovery Center, located over on June Street here in Fremont. We also have a location in Bloomfield, Ohio. It's our female inpatient center, our male inpatient center here on June Street. Great Lakes Recovery Center, we operate out of 2575 Hayes Avenue, the medical building, old Hayes medical building, which still houses ProMedic and 2 of the suites. And we offer substance use treatment, inpatient and outpatient. Surest Path Recovery Center does withdrawal management, also known as DEPA, all the way down through residential treatment, so they stay for an average of 30 to 45 days. And an outpatient treatment for Great Lakes Recovery Center, we offer 6-month treatment program, 7 days a week. So for the, I think except for about 6 days for the last 30 years, I've been there every day. It's about 10 days, sorry. And it's now 5 days right after her. So I've been there every day, helping people who are seeking recovery from their substance use issues. Yeah. We wanted to create Great Lakes Recovery Center. We wanted to bring Great Lakes Recovery Center to this area because we had the inpatient treatment prior to us joining Surest Path Recovery Center. Had a history, and we brought some knowledge and experience and able to raise the level of care, but what we saw was recidivism. So people coming back, they'd go back out to communities, various communities, and they would just come back to us. So Great Lakes Recovery Center was an answer to that, so that we could provide quality outpatient treatment to help bridge the gap, whatever was missing, so that there would be sustained recovery for these individuals, so that they can rejoin any community in which they join productive. That's, we've been able to see that. We've worked closely with the police department, Sanchez, and we thank you guys for all the support and care that you've shown us. We appreciate it, because everybody wants someone to provide treatment, they just don't want it in their backyard. And yeah, we've seen that. Coming from Toledo, for me in my experience, I saw that a lot, and it was beyond words for me to. I can't express how much it meant to me to see a community that embraced treatment for these individuals that we serve on a daily basis. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
No, thank you. Just one of the questions you talked about substance abuse treatment. You guys also provide mental health treatment and counseling services as well, right?
Yes.
Even for a person who may not have substance abuse issues, also with individual mental health counseling as well.
That's true. On the outpatient basis, not on an inpatient basis, but yes, on outpatient treatment we do offer individual mental health counseling as well.
And then also, and you may correct me if I'm wrong, but I also believe that you guys have been working with the Sandusky County DART program. So when there's the chief, maybe you can jump in on that, but from what I understand was the DART program is a crisis mobilization, kind of law enforcement supported driven organization from the mental health board. So I say this, just because I've seen this personally and had some family members been able to.
So there's a component of the prosecutor's office that works with the drug task force and local agencies, just like the Sheriff's Lab, that we try to link. They have an agent that actually goes out and makes personal contact with people who have overdosed and tries to link them with services. Also goes to events and tries to get people from the event directly to treatment. I think their last event was in Clyde. And I think, how many people went directly to treatment from, because I think they had a number.
They did.
And then they had a handful, less than 10 maybe, but right from a drug rehabilitation event, they took people directly to treatment, and that's part of that DART. I don't know if they are calling it DART, but it's basically that.
Okay. And then also I think sometimes we get away with, it's not only substance abuse, there could be someone who is in a crisis situation with mental health issues. Instead of arresting them, they're able to try to utilize their resources to help those people get the proper care for mental health issues, even though they may not be substance abuse related.
Correct. Mobile Crisis Response Team.
There you go. Thank you.
We're talking about MCRT, and that's a group of people that respond to people in crisis. That's also supported by the Mental Health Board.
Mental Health Recovery Services Board, which is important to talk about because they're up for a levy. And that levy is those local dollars, as council knows, those are dollars that are helpful to be able to utilize those resources to get people the mental health or substance abuse treatment that they may need.
And that's a renewal, not a new tax.
That's a renewal, not a new tax.
And that really alleviates a good portion of some of our repeat customers, constituents here in the city who need those services.
And just so everybody understands, when somebody overdoses, they have 30 days to get themselves into treatment. If they get themselves in treatment, then they're not charged with the possession of a drug instrument or whatever the issue was that arose. That's why he's talking about how he tries to get them in contact with the people so that they can go into the treatment. And it's really beneficial that they can do that.
And Roger Odo's person making
Is the agent,
going,
yes.
the agent going out there. We've sent from our inpatient team on our outpatient team treatment team members to go with them on these calls to make contact and try to work people into treatment.
And most of them, a lot of them do it, so we don't end up with them in the court system, which is
I
really
think
good.
the last time I talked to Dr. Gargioli, your facility has been successful, let's say higher than the national average, correct?
Yes. The national average, again, depending on where you go, you're looking into maybe into the 30%, and we see, not to say whatever, but greater than 60%, 70, 80%, especially in our outpatient. Inpatient, we get people, but they get there for detox, it's a little bit muddier, but we do get people, we try to engage them in treatment as best as possible in a completely voluntary way.
Yeah, one of the things I want to just touch base on while you're here is, and, just for the council members of the public, I spent a lot of my career in the mental health and substance abuse field, and it's with this program, essentially for the council members that were here, initially we took a lot of flack on whether or not we should bring that program here. And just like anything else, this treatment program, it's a volunteer program. So for anyone that's ever lived or loved anyone that lives with mental health or substance abuse issues, sometimes people need to get out of their environment to go to a treatment facility to get the help that they need, which may include leaving their community at times to go far or go away to kind of separate themselves from their environment. I would say just in my years of experience in that field, we would transport people to other counties or other communities and to get the treatment that they need. For Lorraine at that time, there was limited on where you could even get people into. Correct, Mr. Millett?
Absolutely correct.
And I think one of the things to remember here that sometimes we hear is, why are we bringing people into our community from other communities that have substance abuse issues? Well, it's not that we're necessarily bringing people in, it's that people are seeking treatment from other areas. And this is a provider in our community that may also provide treatment for people from other communities. Just like people from our community go to other communities for treatment. Sometimes people from our community end up reestablishing a new life where they're at, and they relocate, and they hopefully are successful in where they go. Or, for example, without giving the client's name, I was out to dinner one time and with my wife, and there was a server who was serving us, and I didn't recognize him, and he said, "You're the mayor." Anyhow, to make a long story short, he had gone through your program, ended up going to Terra, getting a degree, and was on the edge of losing his life to substance abuse addiction. And today he's a college graduate and a productive working member in our community, and now is starting a family. And it was nearly 3 years ago that person was almost losing their life. In fact, I think he went to your program twice. The first time he left and the second time he went back. So it was just kind of reassuring to hear what I went through as mayor at the time, and what maybe some of you council members went through at the time, that not you are going to have people that leave a facility. It's a volunteer facility. Some of those people are living in our neighborhoods, and their family, our friends, and people we love, they're there. But I still feel an obligation, even if people are coming from another community, into this treatment program to try to provide services for them. In fact, I was out at Goodwill Industries today, and I was talking to their vocational leader. They had a 50-year anniversary. And the gentleman there was talking to me about how they want to work with agencies like yours and other agencies in the community to help bring people into the workforce that are in these programs. So I just want to say thank you for what you're doing in the community. I know it's not easy.
And it wouldn't be possible without the support. As you say something, I think about another former graduate who came up to me and found me. Said, "I did it. What'd you do?" "I got my GED." Because he at one point came to me and said, "I need help." I said, "Okay, well, I can help you with whatever you need, but I need a schedule." And so he made a schedule. He didn't actually end up asking me for my help beyond that, because he went and he did it. He used resources here, like your Vanguard, resources to help people attain that. He went through did all the work and actually recently attained. So it's so good.
But without anything else, or just like anything else, there's going to be challenges, right? I just wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Do the people that leave your outpatient or your inpatient facility that Surest Path, do they go out to your outpatient one then?
Some do.
Some do? It's not?
We can't tell anybody where to get treatment, nor would we want to give people options. So some people choose to stay, some people choose to go, much like people need to get out of their community to start their treatment journey. Some people need to go back for other reasons. You see that a lot with, not for anything, but a lot with female clients. They need to go back because of parenting issues, children's services issues. They can't move their case, things like that. But we see a good amount of people choose to go to our outpatient treatment because they want a 6-month structured program to engage on a daily basis. Whereas elsewhere, they may not get that structure.
Right. How many people does Surest Path hold? Does it have, is it like 20 or 30?
So our Fremont facility, I think of how many, amount of beds. I think the maximum amount of beds for that facility is somewhere around 50 or 60, but that is not what we generally do for that.
Right.
Per the state, I think that's what we're saying.
They'll give you a tour if you want to go visit.
I've thought about it, and I just
Very
don't
nice.
seem to get down there.
I've been down there. It's nice. It's very nice.
I've been told that it's nice.
Recently, somebody had asked me, is it the old Valley View?
Yeah.
Nursing home.
Right.
It is.
Right.
Somebody asked me that today. And I said, yeah, we just recently replaced the carpet. So unfortunately, the original carpet's not there anymore. It's a little bit more updated now. But yes, we do. We try to, and not only us, the clients keep it very nice as well. They take great care and great pride in.
You have a large staff?
Yeah, good amount. They're there 24/7 between medical staff and.
Doesn't some of the inpatient, they also are part of taking care of the facility
Yes, they do.
also. So they have their jobs within that.
We can't. Yeah, we can't. Not charging. We ask if they want to voluntarily do things, but a lot of people do. And a lot of people want to come back and volunteer their time, to come back and just say, hey, let me help out, or let me talk to some of the guys that are there. I've helped them through some tough times.
We'll say even the law director, Mr. Riley, he went down there one time with myself. They went down there and they really self-incurred. He talked to the clients after permission from the director because of HIPAA laws and things like that. But it was just, it's been a little while back, but
Yeah,
the fact
it has
that,
been. But I've seen it in the court every day.
So.
And they come from all over the different communities, and it's what he's saying, is because if they can't get the treatment there, either they're around the people that they're using with, so they come here. But we've had Cleveland, we've had Lorraine, we've had Findlay, we've had Southern Ohio, we've had all over.
Madam President, I think you have a member from the public question.
Okay, sure.
My name is Jason Anstead. I live at 806 Q Street. Question for you. I've never had to deal with addiction before. Nobody in my family has ever dealt with it before, so I'm kind of new at learning this. Every so often, we have individuals from the facility across the street from my house come banging on my door, wanting to use the bathroom, wanting to use my phone, wanting to come in the house. Sometimes they'll be sitting on the sidewalk in front of my house with large black trash bags. I know you said they're free to come and go at will. Is there any way that can be controlled? Because a few nights ago, I believe my neighbor had somebody from your facility, if I'm not mistaken, just walk right in her house, and I believe Fremont PD was called. Yeah, I haven't been told about the situation personally from my neighbor because I have issues with my neighbor. But this is just what I've been told through the grapevine, that somebody from Tourist Pass came over, walked up in her house, did something, police were called. That's all I know. But my question is, can some of that be controlled by you guys?
So, to speak to the voluntary nature of treatment, it's not free to leave and come back. If they leave, if they want to leave, we can't hold them, or else that would technically, if you hold someone against their will, that's technically kidnapping. Correct. Essentially. Essentially. So not to put you on the spot, I apologize. So we can't bar somebody from leaving the facility if they so choose. So if they so choose, although we do have a good rapport with the Fremont PD where we say, hey, somebody maybe re-entering the community, maybe you want to check things out. How things go a little bit.
And certainly, I know you closed before, you could always call and say, hey, there's somebody sitting on my sidewalk, we could welfare check, we could make sure they're okay. We could post like a no soliciting sign on your front door.
When I'm there, I'm not necessarily gonna say too much to them people.
Sure.
But when I say them people, I'm not being disrespectful. But when my wife is there alone and she goes out, she opens the inside door, there's a man that says he just came from across the street trying to get in the house, and she's there by herself. That kind of worries me. It doesn't happen a lot. We do have means to protect ourselves, but we're not going to go that route because I know they're going through some issues and they're over there for a reason. So I've instructed her, just tell them to leave. If they don't leave, the police will be called. Do not handle anything on your own. let law enforcement deal with it. They won't leave the property. 9 times out of 10, they do.
How often does that happen? Things like that? Just rough guess.
We bought that house 2.5 years ago, and probably maybe a dozen times or so. We've had them hide things in our. I've got a great big plant at the corner of my porch. It's called a moonflower. Really nice.
Right.
We've had them hide stuff in there. I've caught them on my doorbell camera. I'm not really concerned about all of that stuff, but what else are they going to try to do when we're not home? I do have cameras on my property. I don't sit there while I'm home looking at my cameras 24/7. I'm not that type of guy.
And we have cameras on the property as well, and I believe that there was an email exchange previously, I think included myself, I think the 3 of us were included on that, but I had never received any specifics about times in which to look at the cameras so that we could access that and help the Fremont PD with anything that was needed, because we certainly want to be good stewards of the community.
Right.
I mean, they're not, these people aren't necessarily threatening.
Sure, and I think in summary, I think if you just tell your wife not to answer the door, she doesn't know who it is, and certainly just call the Fremont police and we'll absolutely come down and help with that.
Like I said, we're not going to do anything to these guys for obvious reasons. We just want to know if there's something you guys can do to try to prevent this from happening.
And like you said, it's over the past 2.5 years, it's been maybe on 12 occasions or so. I think we've worked, especially maybe lately in the last 6 months or so, to increase security as far as what we have cameras, work with the Fremont PD and our kind of mayor to increase the amount that we can help and take care of the community. People are free to go on the streets. I know I live over on Ewing, so I live just down the road, and my neighbor had someone from the homeless shelter, when it was the homeless shelter, walk up onto his porch and ask him for a cigarette. These things, and I actually...
But they happen all over the community.
Right.
They happen on, I live on Wayne Street. My
Councilman
daughter
Smith
lives
isn't
on
here.
Whittlesey.
That's my ward.
And she had somebody enter her breezeway, go into her backyard, leave a bag full of drugs, and it wasn't anybody from Sheriff's Path. So I just think that they're not categorized as a certain group of people. They're human beings just like me and you,
Right.
that just happen to have an addiction
Right.
that is not by their choice.
Right.
So, but, you know, every neighborhood has issues with people doing things they're not supposed to do.
That gentleman might have benefited from Sheriff's Path.
Yes, he might have.
And you know, and I'm not bashing Sheriff's Path at all. I'm glad they're over there to help these guys. I really am. I just, it makes me nervous sometimes.
Well, sure.
That's all. That's all it is.
But I don't think that they're necessarily harmful people just because they have an addiction.
No, I didn't say they were harmful. They're not aggressive.
Well, that's good.
They haven't been aggressive.
That's good.
They just show up at the oddest times.
And I suppose it makes you uncomfortable.
It does.
But yeah. Yeah,
If somebody I don't know wanting to come in my house to do this, that, what have you.
Girl up on Park Avenue had somebody walk in the front door all the way up to the 2nd floor and try to get in her 2nd floor to sell her a computer. And this was just right on the corner of Park and Garrison. And there's no, he wasn't from Sheriff's Path, he just was somebody. And she just kind of scurried him down the steps, told him she was poor, didn't have any money, and she couldn't buy his computer, and got him out the front door. But, you know, those are situations that happen.
You're not going to have any issues out of us. It's just asking a simple question.
Sure.
If you can look into it.
It's a perfect night.
Yep.
We're talking about that
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
It's here to be able to, thank you.
I got no problem with people seeking eviction. I've never had to deal with it. I don't understand it totally. You know, if I come off abrasive, I don't mean to. It's just, I don't understand it, never had to deal with it, like I said. So, you know, if I got questions, you know, if you're gonna be over there, if I could wander over there, because I'm literally right across the street at 806.
And I can give you my card too if you'd like to call.
Okay.
Well, thank you. thank you very much for speaking up, and thanks for coming in.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Council has a copy of the minutes from last meeting. Are there any corrections to the minutes? No, they'll stand as they are. The council also has a copy of tonight's agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Madam President?
Yes,
I'd like
sir.
I would like to add 2 agenda items.
Okay,
First, a resolution authorizing the approval and issuance of a warrant for payment of $11,454.75 to Kuzno Restoration and Environmental Services and declaring an emergency.
Second.
okay. John Elder enters, did you say it was a resolution?
Yes.
A resolution, and Chris Leibold seconds. And roll call?
Reese,
Yes.
Addie,
Yes.
Elder,
Yes.
Bible.
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Glick.
Yes. Madam President?
Yes.
I'd like to add another make a motion to add another item to the agenda.
Okay,
A resolution authorizing the mayor to prepare, sign, and enter into contracts for submission to the Ohio Public Works Commission for the State Capital Improvement Program, SCIP, and the Local Transportation Improvement Program, LTIP, annually for project funding and declaring an emergency.
okay, John Elder makes another motion to add another item to the agenda. Jim Sleek seconds. Roll call?
Addie,
Yes.
Elder.
Yes.
Bible.
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Glick,
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll begin with the readings then.
We need
One
to
moment.
excuse-
I would like to make a motion to excuse
Oh,
Councilman Smith.
you're right.
I
second
okay.
that.
Okay, Christine Weiss makes a motion to excuse Councilman Smith, and Angie Reese seconds. Roll call?
Elder.
Yes.
Bible.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Glick,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Addie.
Excused. Okay, now we can move forward.
First reading of ordinance amending appropriations within General Fund 101, GO Debt Service Fund 108, Public Recreation Fund 211, DARE Fund 256, Capital Improvement Fund 410, Water Operating Fund 510, and Water Replacement Improvement Fund 541, and declaring an emergency.
Madam President, we're asking the council to suspend Rule 4 on this. The auditor is not here tonight, however, he did send an email out to every council member.
Madam President, I move to suspend Rule 4.
I'll second.
Jim Sleek moves to suspend Rule 4, and Christine Weiss seconds. Are there any questions about the suspension of Rule 4? Roll call?
Bible.
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Glick,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Addie,
Yes.
Elder.
Yes. Move to adopt?
Second.
John Elder moves to adopt. Chris Leibold seconds. Are there any questions, further questions about the ordinance?
Madam President, I do have a question. I
Okay.
notice there's a lot of different things that don't necessarily have a connection to each other. And I'm looking at the DARE fund. I'm just wondering how we decide what goes in there and how much does the DARE fund cost us?
I think the DARE fund, this instance, was involving a donation to the fund, and then be able to spend that fund.
Gotcha. And I believe that was also, did you get the email, Mr. Councilman? Or no?
From Paul?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I believe it was like $2,000. Okay, it wasn't.
2,500 maybe.
Correct, it wasn't.
Yeah, the only thing I've heard about the DARE fund, and I'm just wondering, and with the police chief here and gentlemen there, I hear it's not that successful of a program, it's more of just.
If I may, we don't technically use the DARE program verbatim. We have like a modified program. Sergeant Jacob Scully and some other officers go into the school. From my perspective, it's very, very effective in getting positive connection between students and their classes to know a police officer on another level. And hundreds of students know those officers by their first name, and that's a complete success. The money that goes into that program or that fund is a letter writing campaign that we do from the Fremont Police Department. So there's no cost to the city. the funds in that line item go to spend like booklets, candy, treats, and educational materials, pencils for those classes, and T-shirts that we give to kids who graduate our program.
It's like early elementary program, correct?
7th and 8th grade.
Seventh, eighth? Okay, I thought
Or
like
6th and
doing
7th grade.
elementary.
Yeah,
I remember
6th and
in
7th
school.
grade.
No, so it's not necessarily like the don't do drugs, this is why you're.
I mean, there are certainly don't do drug components to it.
What you're thinking of.
There are certainly don't do drugs components to it. I've seen the same studies and reports and things that say that their programs don't work, but I'm not sure which metrics they're using. The metrics that I can see is the interactions between those officers and students, and those officers and the school.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. More of a modified version by the police department. Yeah, okay. Just curious.
Are you good, Denny?
I'm good, I'll tell you.
Okay. Roll call?
Reese,
Yes.
Sleek,
Yes.
Weiss,
Yes.
Addie,
Yes.
Elder.
Yes.
Lightfoot.
Yes.
Approved.
First reading of a resolution authorizing the approval and issuance of a warrant for payment of $253,007.85 to Lethbrook Company Incorporated, declaring an emergency.
Madam President?
Yes.
First off, I would ask that we suspend Rule 4 on this in order to get the company paid. This has to do with our amphitheater program. Simple. They sent the invoice before we had the PO fully executed, basically what the problem was. So if the money was there, it's more of a dating of paperwork type thing, and that we missed it by a couple of days. So I would ask that we suspend Rule 4 so we get them paid. It's our first payment on the amphitheater.
Madam President? Yes, Angie. I move to suspend.
I second it.
Angie Reese moves to suspend Rule 4. Jim Sleep second. Are there any questions on the suspension of Rule 4? Roll call?
Sleek,
Yes.
Weiss,
Yes.
Addie,
Yes.
Elder,
Yes.
Lightfoot.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes. Move to adopt.
Second.
Angie Reese moves to adopt. Chris Leibold seconds. Any further questions or comments? Yes, Denny?
Is that our money coming right out of the city, or is that part of the grants and stuff that we're getting that $253,000 for?
Well, that would be the money that's allocated for the project, yeah, so there'd be a combination of the grant works and everything, it's all in one.
Because I know I have a few people that always ask me about, where's this money coming from, so on and so forth. So
We've answered that question as many times as we've.
Yeah, I know.
There's been many news stories, there's been another news story coming out, there's been, I think the answer that we'll continue to give is state, federal, local, private dollars are helping pay for the
All right. Thank you.
including some local tax dollars.
You good?
I'm good.
Anybody else have any questions?
90%.
That's all I know.
That is taken care of by the grants.
I'm done, I promise.
Okay, roll call?
Weiss,
Yes.
Addie,
Yes.
Elder.
Yes.
Lightfoot.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Sleek.
Yes.
Approved.
First reading of a resolution of Fremont City Council endorsing and supporting passage of the street levy and declaring an emergency.
Madam President,
Yes, sir?
can I talk on this briefly?
Yes, yes.
Sorry, I said I was going to be quiet.
I knew better.
So we have some members of the public. So we are going out for a street levy and the November ballot. Essentially, what we're asking for is it's going to cost the average taxpayer in the city approximately $8 a month. There are for 5 years. This would be a temporary 5-year levy. 100% of every dollar will be going towards road improvements in the city. The streets that we're focused on are the majority of State Street, Dickinson Street, Oak Harbor Road, Hayes Avenue, and Buckland Avenue. Over 5 years, we feel comfortable that with those streets, the dollars that we would generate from that 5-year tax levy, state and federal grants, and maybe even some Councilman Adi local match dollars, that we feel comfortable those streets we will be able to get done for sure. The way that I've been explaining this to the public is these are our what we consider our main thoroughway roads that ambulances would be on regularly, so if you were on the back of a stretcher, you'd be less likely to get bumped off a bed. And we want to make sure that we have safe routes to the hospital. Other questions that I've received are, well, what are we going to do about the residential side streets? My response to that is, if we can secure grant dollars the way we have been continuing to secure them over the last several years, I'm hopeful that with the dollars that we said we know for sure we can do these streets, if we can get additional grants, that would allow us to free up some of our local dollars to put into the residential neighborhood streets. But I do not want to promise anything, nor does the administration, nor do we want to ask council to make any promises for something that we can't keep. So that's why we're sticking to those 5 to 6 streets. Yard signs will be going out on October 1st. I'd like to recognize Councilman Leibold. He's been great to work with. We've spent a lot of time, or I should say some time over the last week or so talking about the street levy strategically, trying to figure out what we can do to get this information out to voters. It will be from October 1st until the campaign, or until the election day on November 7th. So.
I move to suspend Rule 4 on this.
Okay.
I'll second.
Christine Weiss moves to suspend Rule 4. I think John Elder seconds. Any further questions on the suspension of Rule 4?
I guess I would ask, do we want to suspend it, or do we want it to go to more readings so we talk about it before, once early voting starts and then a couple weeks before the election?
I would ask that you suspend the rules and vote for it, so that way we can show the public that the urgency that we need to get this done. I think I would have brought this sooner. However, the previous council got canceled, and then the other thing is we want to get yard signs out, and I don't feel comfortable putting yard signs on city property unless city council passes a resolution for a conversation with the law director. So that's the main reason for the suspension. If you choose not to, I respect that decision as well.
Okay, roll call.
Reese?
Yes.
Addy?
Yes.
Elder?
Yes.
Leibold?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Sleek?
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Angie Reese moves to adopt. Jim Sleep seconds. Are there any other questions on this? Yes, Denny?
Yes, sir. Will those yard signs be able to be put in the boulevards, in city property? Generally we have to put them in the private property area of our house.
You gotta follow the rules.
So I'm going to give you the strategy since you asked the question. So the answer is no, because we still have to place the yard signs in compliance with our local zoning rules, and you're not allowed to have yard signs in boulevards.
Okay.
The second statement I'm going to make is we are going to strategically place yard signs on the streets that will be fixed. So there'll be an additional Facebook announcement coming out later on. So wherever you see a yard sign, that will be the street that we believe we're going to, well, not we believe, we will fix.
Will fix,
In,
yep.
in the 5 years.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Councilman, did I answer your question?
Yes, Judge, thank you, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a committee set up for funding?
The auditor is in charge of that, and there is an account set up for funding, but I'll be truthful with you, there haven't been a lot of asks, but if you'd like to write a check, we'd appreciate it.
Well, that's what we're saying.
Sure.
Who do you write it out to?
There's a PAC form that's Citizens for Fremont, that's what you should write on.
Citizens.
Citizens for
for
Fremont.
Fremont.
Councilman Leibold has agreed to purchase the mailers, rat cards, and I purchased the yard signs from my account. So I think the councilman is already doing it as well.
So who do we give this to, the auditor?
To Mr. Grom, correct.
Any further questions or comments? Okay, roll call.
Addy?
Yes.
Elder?
Yes.
Leibold?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Sleek?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Approved.
First reading of a resolution authorizing the approval and the issuance of a warrant for payment of $11,454.75 to Snow Restoration and Environmental Services and declaring an emergency.
Madam President?
Yes.
We unfortunately, a few weeks back, when we had torrential downpours, which is, well, you see some of our ceiling tiles missing here and stuff like that. Unfortunately, our police department basement flooded again. And this is a direct result. We did put the PO in, I mean, it was an emergency, we had to come out right away. We had the PO in, we didn't have the PO in for the correct amount because we didn't know what it was gonna cost. I will tell council that that is the cost. However, I am going back and forth with the insurance company right now to see how much we can actually claim on our insurance. But that doesn't negate the fact that we still have to allocate at least that amount of money to the payment of the project. So I would ask that we suspend Rule 4 so I can get everything situated with that as soon as possible.
I move to suspend Rule 4.
I second.
Angie Reese moves to suspend Rule 4. Denny Yadi seconds. Any questions on the suspension of Rule 4? Roll call.
Elder?
Yes.
Libo?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Sleek?
Yes.
Weiss?
Yes.
Addie?
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Was that you, Denny?
John.
No, John?
Yeah.
John Elder moves to adopt, and I don't know who seconded.
Libo.
Chris Libo seconds. Are there any further questions or comments on this? Roll call.
She did.
Libo?
Oh, I was looking at everybody,
Okay.
not just you.
She's
Denny.
looking at you.
No, I know what you want.
Roll call.
Libo?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Sleek?
Yes.
Weiss?
Yes.
Addie?
Yes.
Elder?
Yes. Approved.
First reading of a resolution authorizing the mayor to prepare, sign, and enter into contracts for submission to the Ohio Public Works Commission for the State Capital Improvement Program, SCIP, and the Local Transportation Improvement Program, LTIP, annually for project funding and declaring an emergency.
Madam President?
Yes.
This segues into what we were just previously talking about with the street levy, so I'm gonna turn this over to the engineer who's been patiently waiting.
Thank you, Madam President. So every year we apply for OPWC dollars for our road and infrastructure projects. Last year we passed an ordinance which we tried to do on an annual basis. We used that ordinance to include in our applications to the county. Unfortunately, it had a 2022 date on it, and that kind of gave them a little bit of heartburn, even though there was a section for the annual application of it. So they said, we'd really like you to pass another ordinance for this round of applications to make sure that they're good on OPW and such. So it's really just trying to get that to those guys. We have a subcommittee meeting next week where we talk about the applications and they'll from there submit to the state. So I would like to ask to suspend Rule 4 so we can get that done and turned into the county for those applications.
I make a motion to suspend Rule 4.
I second.
Thank you. Christine Lees makes a motion to suspend Rule 4, and everybody seconds.
Yeah, there you go.
Any questions about the suspension or comments about the suspension of Rule 4? Roll call.
Reese?
Yes.
Sleek?
Yes.
Weiss?
Yes.
Addie?
Yes.
Elder?
Yes.
Libo?
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Christine Lees moves to adopt. Chris Libo seconds. Any further questions? I won't look at you, Denny. I'm looking at everybody else. Roll call.
Sleek?
Yes.
Weiss?
Yes.
Addie?
Yes.
Elder?
Yes.
Libo?
Yes.
Weiss?
Yes.
Okay, approved. We have a, no, I'm good. I'm glad I just saw you with that in your hand. So I have a public notice. Notice is hereby given that the council of the city of Fremont will hold a public hearing in the municipal building at 323 South Front Street, October 5th, 2023 at 6:45 p.m. The purpose of this hearing is to review the Planning Commission's recommendation to vacate multiple alleys located in the vicinity of the Fremont Company between parcels 3450 3958 and 3450 3621 and 802 North Front. Documentation may be examined in the Office of Engineering in the municipal building from 8:30 to 4:30 Monday through Friday.
I can speak on this a little bit, Madam President.
Okay.
So, back in the early 1900s, when the Fremont company came in and purchased a lot of that property and developed into what it is now, there was some vacations that were done at that time, but the paperwork for it is gone, so nobody can find it. GIS system is showing the vacations as being part of their property already, and they're looking to do some expansions and other things in that area. So to clean up those old vacancies that we have already really kind of done, we had to go through the process again here to go to Plan Commission. Plan Commission makes recommendation to you guys to approve, so that we can get those vacations completed. So something that we did a long time ago, we're just trying to clean it up now.
Madam President?
Yes, sir.
While we have the engineer here, I believe approximately 3:47 p.m., the City Council may have received an email from the EPA. I also received the same email in reference to Sunset Meadows and some of the...
In reference to what?
Sunset Meadows, the new housing division.
Right.
And it basically was talking about our flow, our water flow through water reclamation plant and what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, and that we may not be in compliance on some things that they're looking into. So I called Tucker and we spoke about that, and I wanted to ask Tucker to educate City Council. That way tonight or tomorrow when you see this email, you're not caught off guard by this email.
So our wastewater treatment plant is rated to accept so much average daily flow coming to it so we can treat it. Our current rating is really old and hasn't been updated in a long time. Even before we did the expansion, it wasn't updated at that point. So right now we've been working off that very old dated average daily flow capacity that's shown to the EPA, and that's what's on their records. We've been talking about this for a little while, and we got to the point now where it's coming to fruition, where we're going to have to get that re-rated. We've actually went out to RFP for consultants to actually help us with that study, getting that re-rating done for the plant, so we can up our capacity, our daily average capacity. So that's in process of being taken care of. So as we get more development coming online, we get more inflow and create more flow generation into our sewer system that we're treating at the plant, we're able to show the EPA that we can actually treat it. There's no issues with treating it. We've got the capacity to do it. We just got to update that number.
I do have an add-on to that. I'm sure most of the council members here, and I know you, Mayor, when we were talking about the new housing, that was something that was brought up, and I'll look at my old notes, but I thought we were well in the window of what we can handle with that new. So what's going to keep them? I know EPA, I dealt with them at Brushwell, I know they can come in anytime and they play and you dance. But I'm saying that I recall our meeting, and we talked about this prior to the housing going up, and I'll look at my notes in that, but we should be, I can't believe we wouldn't be in compliance and good.
Yeah, from a physical capacity of our plant to be able to treat, we're fine. So we've got the ability to do it. It's just updating this. Yeah, it's updating the number to show that, for their end, so that we show that we can do it. So we've got to re-rate basically what we got to do.
I just wanted to explain that tonight.
Anybody have any further questions for Tucker? No? Okay, well, we'll move on to committee reports. Start with Finance and Labor, Chris Leibold.
Thank you, Madam President. One thing to announce, I believe it's the Tax Review Committee. Is that the formal title of it? Mr. Mayor, you appoint someone and council appoints two. But we need to appoint, I think, two people. So if anyone's interested in, or the Tax Appeals Review Board.
I believe I made my appointment.
Yeah, the auditor said that you did, and we still need to make ours.
City Council needs to.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. So if anyone's interested in being a member of the Tax Appeal Review Board, please reach out to me. That's it.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Economic Development, Jim Sleek.
Thank you, Madam President. One of the things that I want to comment on, whether you enjoyed it or you didn't, or there was any issues, I did talk to the chief on the cruise. I thought it was awesome. A lot of people commenting about how much fun they had coming to Fremont. And as far as I know, when I talked to you, everybody was behaving as well as can be expected. I mean, yeah, there's a few knuckleheads.
Got 12 tickets.
Yeah. But overall, I think everybody really enjoyed it. Hopefully it continues and it just continues to grow. On another positive, I call it positive, if you haven't been by, look at the Genoa Bank. They're really making progress at it. So, other than that, everybody have a great weekend.
Thank you. Laws, rules, and ordinances, John Elder.
I have nothing to report, Madam President.
Okay, thank you. Citizen Service Committee, Angie Reese.
Just congratulations on the new officers that we had today, this evening. Very proud of them. And I'd also like to make a comment on the drag racing. Cruising.
No, that's what they were not.
It was in front of, I told them to start it was in front of her house. I told them to start.
I couldn't
I
do
was
it.
out watching.
But anyhow, I had some friends that came over and we watched it. Some of them were out of town, and they came last year, and this year they came back again, and they seemed to enjoy it. I also saw one of my classmates there going back and forth, and you know, they're pretty old to be doing that, and they're doing it. But anyhow, I think it was very good. I know that it brings more people to town, and it also helps the businesses that are along there. Some businesses were putting things out to sell, food, T-shirts. I saw that. I hate the smoke and the noise, but it goes along with the crowd, and we have to put up with that because of it's only 10% though, the noise and the smell of the burning rubber. The rest is wonderful. So if you've got 90% going for you, I enjoy it. I like to see the cars cruise by and everything. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Community Partner Committee, Christine Weiss.
I just wanted to share that we've got crop circle events happening this weekend in downtown Fremont. Friday evening from 6 to 9 and Saturday from 11 to 4. So some events happening here in town.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Denny, Streets and Utilities.
Oh, the only thing I can think of, and I'll just remind people that I kind of look at myself as the volunteer, do you have a street light out kind of guy. So if anybody, generally I work real good with Bill Goon at the streets department and let him know when a traffic or a street light is out, and I'll tell you what, within a day or so he's got it fixed. Anybody in the community, just give me a call or email me, and whenever I see one driving around, I certainly try to report it right away. So that's all I have. Thank you, Madam President.
I have one for you, Mr. Roddy. I haven't been able to get Mr. Good to get it done yet, so I'll give it to you, see if you can get it done.
Just as long as it's not my neighborhood. They all see my neighborhood's taken care of a little more than...
I'm teasing you.
Okay. Moving on to department heads, Ken Frost.
Thank you, Madam President. Just really quick, I just want to bring up a little issue here, since I am in control of this building, or building fire responsibility. You notice some of the ceiling tiles are off. We had that torrential downpour. It was kind of the perfect storm, both literally and figuratively. At that time, we happened to be doing a tuck pointing project, and they were working on the front of the building, which was where the prevailing winds were coming through. So most of the mortar was out of the brick. It just, unfortunate series of events, like kind of Murphy's Law, right? So all that water kind of poured in and down here where you see these ceiling tiles are missing. The tuck pointing project is now done, thank goodness, which should alleviate all of our problems. However, I did have them stand out a little bit as far as replacing ceiling tiles until we get another rain event to make sure that nothing else is going to leak, and that was at the recommendation of actually the judge that runs this courtroom. We're at a point now where I think we're confident putting everything back together. So I just wanted you to you come in here and you know what's going on. The building's falling apart. That's why there was actual plan. But that's all I have. Thank you.
If you noticed the one right above the judge, it was all
Yeah.
water. Okay, he wasn't here, but it came right down on it. It was unbelievable.
Oh, wow. Bob Gross?
Yeah, Madam President, I have a couple things. I'll be quick. I thought Councilman Sleep might bring this up, but if you've driven down Dickinson, the old Sunshine Biscuit building is being demoed. I know that has kind of been a little bit of an eyesore and talked about for the last couple of years, so we're finally seeing progress there.
Thanks for
Sandusky
mentioning
County
that. I did
Land
have that on
Bank
my list.
is helped to get that going. I want to acknowledge the Berkshire Historic Neighborhood Association a couple weeks ago, September 14th. They had a social gathering to thank those donors that contributed to the new fountain, benches, sidewalk, and that really turned out to be a really good partnership between a neighborhood group that was willing to go raise money and make improvements in their neighborhood and partner with the city. And you always do something with the thought, boy, I hope people use it, enjoy it, but I think, I know several of us kind of live in that area. I drive by that way every day, and I see it getting used quite a bit. Kids, people sit in there and just kind of enjoying it. The industrial park, the retention pond is done. I think, is the boring done?
Yeah, so there was 2 borings that had to be installed underneath Route 20, one for sewer and one for water. Those are complete now.
Yep. And then they're starting the street next week.
Right.
At least the base and getting that going.
Yep.
So still some progress being made there. And then finally, I brought my copy of it. But if you remember, this is our, I think, Fremont 10-year plan. 2023 is year 5 of our 10-year plan, and we always said when we got to the halfway point, we would sit down, reevaluate the plan. I know internally the administration has done that, and we've accomplished kind of quite a few. If you look through this, really the goals per chapter, you'll see, wow, we've accomplished quite a few of the goals. But we're going to sit down this winter. That's going to start up where I think internally we're going to start that process and then have some public meetings and then update this plan, add new plans and a few more details. But just wanted to let you know because I think there'll be a public portion where we'll want public input and your input as well. So that's it, Madam President.
Thank you. Chief Wensinger, you have anything?
I do, thank you. I wanted to circle back a little bit to the Cruise and Car Show to let council know a little bit more of the specifics on what the Fremont Police did to plan or to try and plan for the influx of people that we had that day. We met with the event organizer prior to the event. We issued a media release to discourage unsafe driving. We plan to saturate patrol vehicles in designated cruising areas. We also plan to increase the traffic enforcement along that route. We plan to utilize marked and unmarked vehicles to identify problem areas or unsafe participants. And with a debriefing, we met with the event organizer again to try and help look at logistics and planning for next year. Overall, from the police department's perspective, it was a fairly safe event. There were not any major crashes. There was a few minor crashes and a few trouble calls connected to people that were attending the event. A lot of the vehicles, and I was out in uniform monitoring and conducting some traffic enforcement. And the vehicles that I saw that I had personal contact with were not people attached to the actual event. They were people coming to it to visit it, if that makes sense. Or I'm not sure if it was
Spectators?
Yeah, spectators.
They may have not have registered to be in the car show, but
Right.
they joined the car show.
Oh, I see. And certainly the trouble calls we had were not connected directly to the car show. They were there and maybe trying to engage in some misbehavior that a lot of people were doing, but they weren't necessarily part of that car show.
That's the Angie's Drag Races.
And our officers were very particularly looking for drag racing, the violation of, and that just did not occur. The worst violation that was on repeat were cars stopping in the roadway and squealing their tires to the point where there was smoke and rubber on our roadways. So there was a handful of citations issued, and I think our plan next year is to increase yet again enforcement action and encourage safe driving, mitigate unsafe driving, try to let people have fun. I mean, there's no way to stop every violation that day if we even have 50 police cars out on the road. I'm sure many of you saw how many people were lining the streets and bumper to bumper on the roadway itself. I mean, it was a great event for our city, I think, but I would also encourage people that are coming back next year to stop laying smoke and long strips of rubber in our roadways.
And just to add that if they get convicted this year and they get convicted again next year, it enhances, it goes up. So it's an MM, which is a minor misdemeanor first. The next one goes up to an M4, and then God forbid there's another one that goes to an M3, and so on and so forth. So it can be jailable eventually if we need that, and I don't want to have to do that. But 12 tickets is still a lot of tickets.
Is there an estimate of how, first of all, do the people have to sign up or get a permit to go and come visit this? I mean, the cars.
So to be a part of the car show and to be eligible for the prizes and trophies, or to be in the lot where the cars are being shown, there's a fee, and you have to have the placard to get into there. There's judging stations, so you move throughout the city to different judging stations. To be a part of that, there's a fee. That's their program. But you can also come to the city and watch all the cars along the route, and I think that's part of the attraction, is to seeing all these really beautiful cars moving through the city.
What does it cost to sign up, do you know?
Well, I think what's important to know here is this is not a City of Fremont car show. It's sponsored by a private sponsor, a private organization.
So we don't make any.
No, the city of us. So, I kind of want to stay away from the city answering. I feel like as the mayor, I'm continuously asking questions for a car show that I'm not putting on.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think I followed the car show, obviously, from the day that it happened until today, and I've talked to many, many people, included business owners up and down State Street. I have not had an individual conversation with the chief yet. I've been very busy this past week, and so is he. So I do plan on sitting down with the chief and the safety service director to talk about some of the concerns that I have. I am pleased with the police's effort and what the chief did to prepare for this event. I will tell you, we had many meetings about this event prior to its happening. I want to be in support of this event. I really want to be in support of this event. But I will tell you, I struggle being in support of it when knuckleheads are being knuckleheads. I mean, I've said it, I'll say it now, there's just no other way to say it. And if we can't get this event to the point where it's going to operate in a safe manner, the event can't happen. And I think, the rubber on the road doesn't really bother me. Maybe it should. It doesn't, because it's the thousands of people from the city who are there lining the street. But at the same time, it does bother me. So it's one of those things. It's kind of like my description of this is when there's kids lining up on the side of the street. I mean, this is not a parade down Front Street where cars are going 3 miles an hour. There are cars that are driving. And the last thing that any one of us want to do as leaders or elected officials in the city is be sitting in this room a week later as a result of a tragedy that took place because a kid got out on the road. Now, obviously, we want people to be responsible. We don't want people to put their kids or even adults in. I mean, you shouldn't go stand on State Street today. I was at an event last weekend and there was 100,000 people there. The best place in the world, Ann Arbor, Michigan. And we were standing there getting ready to go into a football game, and there are cars going both ways, and you can't, in all seriousness,
right.
I mean, something can happen anywhere, but I think if you've read the comments on Facebook, which I'm sure most of you have, because I've spoken to most of you about it, you'll see that there are people who are unhappy with it and happy with it. I particularly like the car show, and I think the census is the council members particularly like the car show.
Community.
The community particularly likes the car show.
Oh, you get clear the community likes it.
And I think what I want to do as the mayor is have a meeting. I've spoken to Councilman Ladwell. We've become friends the last week or so.
I know.
We've been talking. So, and we were kind of talking about what we could do, maybe to get some business owners along State Street to really get their feelings on the car show, right? What is the economic impact, and then what do they like about it? And I'm going to get 8 to 10 people, Councilman Leibel, Councilman Smith, as council members. They have a lot of State Street. And then get, I've spoken to Shelley from out at Shalhoub's and some other owners on up and down State Street. And then maybe try to put a group of team members together from our community with the police chief and the safety service director to try to, and the event organizer, to make sure, that we can make sure that this thing continues in the safest way possible. So that way we take every step that we can to hear from the people that are directly impacted and do our best as leaders to continue this event. And if we do not feel as a team that we can continue this event in the safest way possible, then a tough decision is going to have to be made that might upset people. I'm not saying we're canceling this event. I'm saying that we want to get a team of people together to make sure that we can put this event on in the best way possible to stop the knuckleheads from ruining the event. Because truly that's what it is. It's people that are coming into the community that are not registering for this event, and then they're doing things to honestly cause problems. I mean, I've seen the videos.
You're going to have those share of knuckleheads no matter.
And you're going to have it. It doesn't mean you should stop the event. It means that you should deal with the problem.
Correct.
So we're going to do what we can. We have another year. Again, the chief did what he thought he could do. Our administration supported the chief's efforts, and so did the program director, Rich Farmer. I mean, he was 100 support in favor of Chief Wensinger, executing his plan that he felt what he needed to do to put the city in the safest condition possible. Because really, truly, when that event's happening, that's in the chief's hands. He's the chief of police. He's the one that has the ultimate authority, not the mayor and not the safety service director. He is the one that is in control to decide, what needs to be done for the safety of the community and at that time. And obviously, we asked the chief to work with us and do what we got to do, to not have to cancel. And we're lucky we have a chief that doesn't want to have to cancel the event either, So I know I'm talking a lot about it, but it's an important conversation to have because, the public loves the event for the most part, from what I see.
Do we have numbers? How many cars registered?
A lot. Oh, but the overall impact, cars bumper to bumper from Front Street past where you can see. Thousands of cars.
Can we have Rich Farmer come and talk to city
I
council?
I'm sure he would be happy to do so. And again, Rich Farmer has done everything he can to work with the city and the police to make sure that they have a safe event.
But all it takes is one of those knuckleheads, as you call it, to injure somebody.
Yeah, it does. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I was curious to hear council's feedback tonight about the event, so I was thankful that Mr. Sleep brought it up. And I'm just curious if anyone else has any feedback. All ears to council members.
Well, I got the same email that you got on the one that wasn't happy, or the couple that, few that wasn't happy, but there again, it's a safety concern, and I get it.
Was that it?
That was all. Thank you.
Charlie, I know you came in late, but do you have any comments for tonight?
Not at this time. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay. Well, we'll move on to the mayor.
I would just like to invite the gentleman up who's out here, his wife member from the public. I ran into him at Lowe's today. Do you want to come up, sir? I'll let him introduce himself. I ran into him at Lowe's. I was out buying a furnace builder, and he brought some concerns to me. We've spoken over the summer. I've done what I could to try to help address your issue. And I said, sir, there's a council meeting tonight at 7 o'clock. Come to council and voice your concern, and I'll try to help you again. And I tried to help them at Lowe's, but I thought, you know what, why don't you come to council and voice your concern, because you voiced it several times. So,
My name's Dave Baker. I live on 1319 Rosewood, on the corner of Rosewood and St. Joseph Street. Rosewood is a two-way stop. 90% of the vehicles that go through there do not stop. Maybe 20% of those people that do stop slow down, and that's it. The people going down St. Joseph Street, you got the rec center down there. I followed a car down there one time just to see. I quit going to catch up with this car when I reached 60 miles an hour going down a 25-mile-an-hour zone. There are kids down there. What is it going to take to get the people to slow down out there or whatever? Is it going to have to be somebody getting killed? Some young kid darts out and gets killed. But then again, I've seen it happen before. If that young kid that gets killed isn't a high members kid, nothing will still happen. It'll just be passed off. No, every life matters. Every life. So what we need to do is do something. When I talked to the mayor the last time, he did they put up a speed sign. It was up there for probably 3 weeks, I think. As soon as they seen it, they slowed down. I talked to the guy when he put it up there, the sergeant, and he told me that the system that was there, it automatically goes back to the station on computer. So they know when, and it don't have to have license plates or anything like this here. It just shows the time that it's doing it. So when the most speeding is happening and they're slowing down. As soon as that sign was taken, I looked out to see it. As soon as these cars are just flying by there again. And there it is. The sign's gone. They took it down. They're still doing it. This afternoon, before we come down here, this was like at 5 o'clock, we were sitting out in the gazebo, just getting ready to leave, and a car had to swerve over into the other lane because some little kid on his scooter just right on through the stop sign and out in the street. Now I'm 72 years old, that don't really matter, but when I took driver's ed, it says in there, if you are on the street, those road signs occur to you just like it does no matter if you're driving a car or what. If you're riding a bike, that sign is still for you. Stop, you stop. Then none of them do. Absolutely none of them. There has been, and the kids, we even just, that's all they do on those little scooters or the little small kids on bicycles. Someone's going to get hurt. I don't want to see it. I help everybody I can around there. I helped some people today up at Dairy Queen push their car back so they could get it towed. I help.
Do you have any
I worked
recommendations?
on the turnpike. I help people out there. I've seen accidents. I've seen blood. I don't want to have to go out there and use my phone and call these people in 911 and have some little kid bleeding to death out there because it was stupid, or because, as you guys recall, the butt heads running the stop sign. Or I've also said there's more people that stop on the non-stop than the other way because they've almost been hit so many times.
Well, I think you've been very, I mean, I hear you because I think St. Joseph's with the wreck down there, and
yeah,
what goes on the weekends, everything, I mean, that's a busy, busy street.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised there hasn't been accidents
Yes.
in years. I
So,
really am. And I'm thankful for it.
sometimes even worse because of the
I've been down there on Saturday for kids volleyball, and it's packed.
Well, I think
There's only one way to get there.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I think So one, just a couple things. I appreciate you coming down, because I told him, you know, I did have a conversation with the chief, and I've had a conversation with Captain Conger about this issue, and it doesn't seem that we're getting any radar ran over there. At least I haven't seen anything. And this gentleman isn't the only person that has brought this complaint to my attention. In fact, I was over there one day, and there was a couple other people that kind of came over. I don't know if you talked to them or not, but they came over and they were kind of hitting me up. And then we put, I am getting these complaints, and I did introduce him to Sergeant Kitty in the hallway prior to tonight's meeting, and said Sergeant Kitty's the afternoon supervisor, and he did assure you that he would put this on the daily log. But I think you're asking for some traffic to actually be ran, not necessarily the sign, and just some radar and stuff in that area, and a visible, maybe or a non-visible area, to actually start to ticket some of these people, so that way they can start to pay attention to what's going on. So
Yeah, I
You don't
told
mind if we hide your driveway?
what I told the mayor. I says, I'd like to get a hold of him and have him come into and sit with me in the gazebo with just with a piece of paper and a pencil.
And what did I tell you?
And that you couldn't do it because you don't get paid to do that, but these guys do.
Absolutely.
So, you know, if you
So we're going to be
set
sitting by
someone up there
ourselves, and there ain't nothing either one
and
of us
have
can
them
do.
sit there in the gazebo, you know, they can have their lunch or whatever there, and just watch, count how many people don't stop, how many people go speeding, you know, just that. And yes, you want to hide in the driveway, damn right, I'll let you park there anytime. And I'll get the vehicles so people can't see, whatever.
Thank you for
If you
coming
want to
down.
be in a certain way, you let me know and we'll arrange my vehicles, because I got enough of them sitting there and they're all back far. We can take care of it.
All right, very good.
Because I just don't want to see anybody get hurt. Sure. And so,
Thank you for coming out.
and hopefully I don't have to come down and address it again, but
Thank you.
I will.
Thank you for coming down.
I will if it has to. All right?
Can I be,
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Baker?
Any questions?
Mr. Baker, the next time you have a problem, you know where I live.
Yes.
Just go knock on the door, on the back door. I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Call the police.
We should have called her the first time. I told her.
Yeah, it could have saved you a trip down here. I should have given you her number.
I know.
Well, she lived just around the corner, so I know her still. I can almost throw stones
I go
at her.
zooming by that gazebo.
Yeah, right now it's got Jesus out there too, so, you know, and that's what he does. He's standing out there going like this here. What is going on with these people? What is going on? I'm gonna have to take one of my children and, I'm gonna sit down. Any questions?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that it for you, Mayor?
Thank you.
Jim Millie?
I've spoken enough too, but nice to be back.
Thank you.
Oh, you know, there's nobody else is here. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak? Yes, sir.
I'd like to add on to the speeding issue. I live on June Street. That thing is nothing. I mean, you can put some lights up down there, and we can hold drag races all day long down there.
No drag racing.
I'm not gonna call you guys for every little darn speeder, but as everybody knows, and these guys used to own the house that I currently reside in, there's a lot of kids on that street that ride bikes, little kids. There's other issues down in that neighborhood that need to be resolved too, but I'll take them up with somebody else at a later time. But the speeding is ridiculous down there. Chief Wensinger, there's my place. You sit down there. I don't give a shit. It's in my driveway. Honestly. But
Taking notes.
I don't know if you guys are short on officers. I don't see a whole lot of patrol down in my neck of the woods. Maybe there is, and I'm just not seeing it, but I don't see it very much, if at all. And I think I spoke to him about it a little bit a couple days ago. I'm not trying to be abrasive about anything. I'm trying to be respectful. What can we do to get more more of you guys down there, especially when kids are getting on and off the buses. I've seen cars go around those buses when the little sign on the side is out.
All the buses have cameras.
Do they?
Yep, and they report when vehicles go around. The first step is just to let us know.
Okay.
I think you got that message about a year ago when you had 150 people from the public comment on a poll you put out.
And I'm not opposed to putting that out again.
We
That's
know
a good
it
way to
is.
let the officers know directly from the community the places to go.
I mean, I had probably about 3 months ago, I was sitting outside of my front porch smoking a cigarette. There was a deer in the middle of the road. There was a truck coming down from Whittlesey direction. And I know what truck it is, so I can say this. I heard it rev up, speed up. It cracked that deer in the middle of the road, shot it over to 805 June Street's front porch, on her front porch. Luckily, that deer didn't die. But that's the kind of speeding we have down there. Now, had that been a kid and not an 800-pound deer, it would have been a different story. I'm not asking you guys at all. Is there something that can be done other than us calling you guys all the time?
Step one is letting us know where the problems are.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Madam President, I move to adjourn.
I second it.
Okay, Chris Leibold moves to adjourn and Angie and Jim Sleek second.
Oh, that's too.
Weiss?
Yes.
Addie?
Yes.
Elder?
Yes.
Leibold? Yes. Reese?
Yes.
Sleek?
Yes.